First off, thank you so much for joining us for this inside scoop to what its life is like at Wyoming Catholic College. My name is Dr. Lucas Preble, and I'm joined by three of our wonderful students, Ms. Gemma Davidson, Sophie Eckel, and Mr. Joseph Stetson. And today, it's all about giving you guys a real inside look at what life is like here at the college, both academically, spiritually, and through our unique outdoor and life here at the college. So whether you're a prospective student or a parent or you're just exploring, I'm glad you're here. And with that, I'd like to just give students a chance to introduce themselves. So go ahead and take it away. Let's see. How about we start with Sophie? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sophie Eckel. I'm a junior. I'm from Alexandria, Virginia, and yeah,
Great to
that's
have you, Sophie.
that's me.
My name is Gemma Davidson. I'm a senior and I'm from Yankton, South Dakota.
Welcome.
My name's Joseph Stetson. I'm from Steubenville, Ohio, and I'm also a junior here at Wyoming Catholic College.
Great. All right. So I want to hear a little bit about maybe how you guys got to Wyoming Catholic College. So let's start with that. Where did you first hear about the college, and what really prompted you to join, to say, hey, I want to come out to Wyoming and spend 4 years there?
You guys have an answer ready?
Yeah, I can go first. I had a physics teacher in high school who was sending one of his sons here. And he told me about the college and kind of convinced me that it was a pretty cool place to at least apply to. I was not terribly interested, but I figured I'd apply anyways. I ended up having a conversation with one of the professors out here, Dr. Virginia, and it was just a phenomenal conversation. And kind of two things happened in there. One, it was an exchange of ideas, and then two, it was kind of a wrestling with those ideas. I don't know, I felt very seen as a student, and that was exciting. It was exciting to not just be a number. I live right next to Franciscan, which is, a fine college. It's really great, but they have a lot of students there. And one of the parts about that is sometimes you are just a number. Whereas one of the exciting things that I perceived before I came out here was like, oh, my professors will know my name and really be able to work with me. God opened the doors through some financial things, and it just became a very applicable place for me to be. And so I bought a plane ticket and flew out over here.
Fantastic.
I met a student who went here when I was probably like 12 at a summer camp, and she was like a camp counselor. And actually, she's in admissions, Catherine Mershon. And she was like my idol. I loved her. And so like I first heard about the college a little bit, just more my parents, I guess, when they interacted with her. And then my sister came out here um, 2 years before I did, and we both went to a more classical high school. So I like started to get introduced to sort of the liberal arts idea. Um, and when I heard about like seminar style classes, I was like, I think I like that sounds really good. And I also want to go to a college that's actually Catholic. So that like narrowed my list down. And then I went to Peak and I thought it was good. I was like, oh, this is super fun. Like, it's good look. But I was still like a sophomore, wasn't really sure. Um, and, there's still a lot of time before I actually went to college. And then I went to Founders, like a bit closer to when I would actually go to college. And that was like really decisive for me because I think Peak was awesome, but then Founders was like you were in the college with the students. And I really just like I visited a few other colleges that had sort of seminar style um, and a lot of awesome things, but the community that I found at Founders was like, okay, I think this is the place for me.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
yeah.
How about you, Gemma?
Well, my first awareness of Wyoming Catholic was, I think, when I was around 12, and my mom was being really productive and started talking about college opportunities. And I was kind of like not there at all in my head. But she said, like, there's a college in Wyoming where they have like a horsemanship program, and you love horses. So it sounds like it'd be a great fit for you. And I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I do really like horses. Um, and then she said, and it will also, like, if you want to like blossom into this great novelist or just writer in general, and it sounds like this place has just a great curriculum to help you do that. And I think to a large degree, as like I grew up and started actually looking into colleges, I didn't fully understand how unique Wyoming Catholic was going to be. Um, I came out here for peak in 2021, and there was some combination of kind of just the busyness that goes on during peak with all the different activities and the classes and getting to know the people around you, that in some ways was overwhelming. And then when I left, it like all of a sudden the concept of Wyoming Catholic College wasn't just about choosing a college after I graduated, but was much more like in my mind. It was like, I want an adventure. And Wyoming Catholic promised that in like every way I could think of. And kind of the idea of, I don't really know exactly how this is going to go, but everyone who I experienced peak with just brought so much excitement into my life about the prospect of pursuing Wyoming Catholic College as an adventure. And I think that was the main reason why I chose it, is kind of just the idea of responding to the opportunity to actually have an adventure.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that. Looks like we're trying to get your camera back on. Something must have cut out on us. So you saw Thomas there. Thanks, Thomas, for helping us out. Okay, well, I'm going to continue the conversation while we still have you guys with the audio. So it sounds like the why for WCC was conversation, the small size, the classical curriculum, horsemanship, writing. These are all great things that we have at the college. And I want to ask, are you finding those things here now that you're in your senior year? You know, are those things manifesting throughout your daily life? Is that real? Let's start with Gemma. How about you? We were just chatting.
I would say the day-to-day life has answered my hopes in coming to Wyoming Catholic in basically every conceivable way. And I think it's not just, it is like I can point to particular parts in the curriculum or different experiences that I had, for like instance, in horsemanship or with writing. But I think the thing that like kind of encapsulates all of it is there's just so much love and like passion nurtured in the kind of circumstances of the college, in the pursuit of things that objectively we know to be good, but also the atmosphere of actually experiencing them to the fullest, is what I would say is like permeated through my day-to-day life at WCC.
Awesome. How about you, Joseph?
Yeah, no, I mean, this place is wonderful. I think what I specifically mentioned was the connection you can have with your teachers. Yeah, I think one of the things I came to love at Wyoming Catholic, especially my freshman year, was going to a professor weekly and just kind of dropping in on their office hours and saying, "Hey, can we talk about something?" And they were super open about it and always talking, always willing to talk to me. I mean, it's that case now. You just pop in on professors and say, "Hey, I had this thought," or "I have this question," and an hour goes by, and all of a sudden you've had just a fantastic conversation with somebody, some professional who's really, really good at the thing that you're doing. It's fantastic. It's awesome. Yeah, a very, very delightful thing.
Good. So sorry about the technical issues here with the camera. We're still working on getting that back on. Sophie, how about you? Would you say that you've been very there we go. Good to have you guys back. Awesome. Um, would you guys say that would you say that you the WCC under-delivered or delivered on the things that you were looking for when you say I'm here for the classical curriculum. I'm excited to come out to Wyoming, or would you say um, just subpar?
I mean, I'm coming from Alexandria, Virginia, so like hadn't been out west really. I'd been like out west once before coming here, and I live like more like outside of the city. So for me, like one of the big things just coming to the town of Lander, like all the adventures that I've gotten to do just since being here, like it's crazy. Just having Sings Canyon like 15 minutes away, and all the times that I've just like hopped in the car and like studied up at Sandstone Buttress or like done a polar plunge, like genuinely, I've got to do so many adventures. So it's definitely delivered in that way. And the 21 day was awesome. Um, and then also just conversations. And you realize this when you go home, like not to bash on people at home, but just having conversations here. And because of seminar, you really have to learn how to have conversations well and how to like actually listen and actively listen and then actually respond to what the person just said and not just uh, put like insert your point here and then I say what I wanted to say here. Like you really just learn the art of having conversations here. And I would say that's another big one for me that I've
Awesome.
noticed. Just
So
yeah.
you said a lot there that I want to unpack. And the more exciting thing for me is talking about that last piece you're mentioning, just the skill of conversation. And I want to know, did that come out of the classroom or is that over the lunch table or in the dorms? But before we get to that question, you said three words that I really want to maybe clarify for our listeners. You said Sinks Canyon, Sandstone Buttress, and polar plunge. Can you walk us through what those three things mean? And maybe give us as much detail as you can on what Sinks Canyon is, because I think that's a pretty cool thing for Wyoming.
Yeah. So the town of Lander, so the campus is a few buildings on Main Street. And then if you just sort of drive out past Main Street, about 15 minutes outside of town, maybe not even, is this big canyon. It's not a national park, but like it's it's as cool as that. And yeah, it's just a big canyon. It has these really cool, we call them the sinks. It's like this water river that sort of goes into a cave underground for a while and then spits out further down the canyon. Um, and we do caving trips where you can like see it at different points underground. And then the canyon um, has a lot of like climbing on one side that's drier, and then there's a greener side, and it's like a few miles long, and then it sort of goes up switchbacks and eventually kind of leads, I guess, into the woods eventually. And there's just a lot of climbing and hiking and different structures, and it's just a beautiful canyon. One of the things on there that I mentioned is Sandstone Buttress, which is this buttress at the entrance of the canyon. It's just like a big rock structure, and it's sandstone rock. And you can go up to it. There's a lot of climbing on it. There are like two ledges, so I've just gone up to the lower ledge, and it's a beautiful view. You could also go up to the higher, like the top of it, and we'll do like rappelling off of it. There's like, yeah, I think at peak they rappel off of that a lot, and people have done like night rappelling trips off of it. And then polar plunge, that's just like plunging into a cold body of water. So we have the Paposia running through uh, Lander and around, and then it goes up it kind of connects to the sinks. So you could drive out to Six Canyon, or you can just find like there are spots along the Paposia, sort of on the drive out to Six Canyon, or at different little spots around town. And some friends of mine and I like to go and just take polar plunges, just like 2 minutes in the ice cold water, and then you don't even need coffee. Just yeah.
That's great. How about you, Joseph? Do you have anything unique about Sinks Canyon or Sandstone Buttress? Is that a unique thing to Sophie, or is that a commonplace for our students?
That's a commonplace. Yeah, I guess I got two things about it. One, Sophie mentioned the climbing, but also the hiking. There's a lot of really wonderful hiking there. This past Sunday, my dorm and I all went out. It was like 9 guys. We all went out and we did a hike to a portion of the Sinks Canyon, or the Paposia River that runs through Sinks Canyon. That's called the waterfall hike. And you take the hike and it leads back to this gorgeous area where there's just like 3 different waterfalls that all like emerge from the canyon. It's fantastic, just a beautiful view. And we sat there and we prayed, and we ate some food, said poetry, and we left. It was a great time. The other thing that's fun to mention is I really enjoy fly fishing. That's something I got into when I came out here as a freshman. Dr. Preble actually taught me how to fly fish in part. It was really great. But yeah, there's some wonderful fishing here, spots around Wyoming. But yeah, definitely along the Paposia. If you follow it from Sinks all the way down to Lander and then beyond, there's just some fantastic opportunities to really be on the river, to watch the bug fall, to see the fish that are just swimming and living in this beautiful little area, and yeah, spend a day with a rod and a fly, and have a great old time.
Awesome. So Sinks Canyon's about, what would you guys say, 20-minute drive from downtown campus? So not too far.
15, 20 minutes.
15, depending on who's driving, right? So a couple other quick notes about that. There's a great camping sites, Jim, right there at the entrance of the park. You can camp at. Great. Well, all of our students who come for peak get to spend some time up in Sinks Canyon. We do quite a bit of that waterfall hike and some other trips, especially in the summer. It's a totally different landscape in the summer, right? And then again, for any visitors that make it out to campus, we always try to get them out rappelling or rock climbing or something like that, so they can get a sense of just a small piece of what we do. That might lead us maybe into what our summer program is a little bit. I can talk about that, but I also want to mention just our 21-day trip and beyond that, the 10 weeks that you all spend in the outdoors. I don't want to harp too much and too long on that because it is just one piece of the whole inside scoop of WCC. But first, I'll just briefly mention: have any of you all done peak either as a student or as a counselor?
As a student.
Not at all.
Okay, awesome. So you guys came out, both Sophie and Gemma, during your junior or senior summer, right, in high school, and participated in our 2-week summer program, where you got to do what? What was the peak schedule, and what was your takeaway from that?
It's yeah. Stuff.
I remember getting back and sleeping until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon for the first time in my life. The first week is like kind of like orientation-y. You kind of get used to the campus, you get into classes.
Yeah.
And like
although you pretty much just like dive in.
Yeah.
There's a rhythm of like classes in the mornings and then some sort of like community or outdoor activity in the afternoon with a lot of different little things.
Yeah, you usually like, you all gather, you kind of like, you get to see the vast array of all the other peaklets, as we call them. And then you have your class sections decided for you, and then you have smaller groups, and they're generally like around like 10 to 15. that you'll like do the afternoon activity with. And generally you'll have the counselors switch off with different groups and you'll do rappelling and climbing,
Horseback riding.
You'll have town day where you get to explore Lander, which is a lot of fun.
Dancing.
That's
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really done any swing dancing or waltzing before I came to Peak. That was cool. Yeah.
And then the first weekend there is backpacking.
Yeah, 4-day backpacking trip is sandwiched in the middle of the 2 weeks. And that's also in a smaller group. There are a few groups that go out. And that's also really amazing, especially if you've never done backpacking before. It's really great access point.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So you do a 4-day backpacking trip. Where do we take you guys? We've gone up to the Winds in the past. Where else?
Mm-hmm. I went to the Winds.
I also went to the Winds.
The guys might go to the Absarokas. I'm not sure though. It might just all be the Winds for Peak. I think.
Okay, great. Yeah, so those are the mountain ranges here near town. We got the Wind River Range, the Absarokas, and then there's also the Teton Wilderness or the Teton Range, which is just a few hours north of us. So these are just some of the locations that our students all get to go throughout their 4 years here. So tell me about that, the 4 years outdoors. How often do you get to go? Is it required? Why do we have this outdoor thing? Tell me a little bit about your experience with that. Did you know that going in that you were going to be spending, 2 weeks, a semester basically, or sorry, a year doing that? Was that news to you when you got here?
That was news to me when I got here for sure. Yeah, I was a Boy Scout or whatever, and so I thought that the outdoor thing was like kind of my speed. And then I came here and was kind of thrust into something that I was not expecting. It was quite a lot. And I was not expecting 2 weeks a year. I'm a junior, and I spent now 10 weeks in the backcountry, doing the outdoor program and things of that sort. And it's just been a fantastic opportunity. I've been able to do some wonderful trips, canyoneering in Utah, which I didn't even know canyoneering was a thing when I came here. But I didn't know this, but there's things called slot canyons where you get inside and you can't even see the sky because it's just like so small. And someone decided to walk through one, and now a lot of people do it. I had no idea that was a thing before coming here, but it was one of the most fantastic trips I ever did. The Teton Wilderness, like Dr. Preble mentioned. I'm not even sure I heard about the Tetons before I came out.
Really?
I don't think so. I'd heard of Yellowstone, but I never heard of the Tetons. And then just this past semester, I got to do a canoe and backpack in the Tetons. And I mean, it was just beautiful. I was floored at how amazingly gorgeous it was. There was this one canyon in the Tetons called Paintbrush Canyon. And I just remember I was hiking over a ridge, and my friend Noah and we just kind of looked out over the foliage in this paintbrush canyon, and it was covered with reds and golds and green conifers and this beautiful stream that was running through it. Eagles could have been flying. I mean, it was just amazing. It was like wonderful, wonderful experience. And yeah, we get to do a lot of that out here, starting with the 21 day, but then going much beyond that.
Joseph,
it's just wonderful.
You'll remember I was on that canoe trip with you for the first half in the Tetons, which was a lot of fun. Joseph led that trip. I want to learn more about what, or at least explain for all of our guests, what does it mean to be the leader, the co-lead, the woofer, all these different terms that we use. But I'll just echo, that trip that we took up in the wilderness there in Tetons was amazing. I think in the first 5 days, 4 or 5 days, I counted like, I don't know, 8 bald eagles flying over us on the canoes, which is awesome. And I think we averaged something like 4 or 5 miles a day canoeing, just between the island to island, which was a lot of fun, a lot of rowing. And the canoe tag was probably my highlight of the trip, playing tag on canoes.
I love that. That was great. Forgot.
That was great. All right, but yeah, explain. Maybe Gemma, give us a little details of what does it mean to be a woofer? What are the different roles on the trips that we have, and why do we have these roles?
Yeah. So every outdoor trip, um, leaving aside the 21-day trip and winter trip, the ones that we do every semester is you have the head lead and then the co-lead and the woofer are kind of like the main positions. And then everyone else will generally pair off for each day and you'll have LODs, which means leader of the day. So everyone kind of gets the opportunity to lead in some degree throughout the trip. The head lead is kind of in charge with a lot of like arranging and making sure a lot of the prep work gets done. And the co-lead is like the second in command to that. Um, and so there's a lot of prepping for kind of understanding what you want the trip to be like for the entire group, what will be best for the group, how to kind of optimally and most effectively pursue the goals of the group. So that's understanding your trip, be it the route and the itinerary, and then, but also understanding like, I don't know, how to make it a really wholly satisfying trip for the entire group. So things like making sure that every LOD has an integration nugget or their kairos, which is like their prayer time, their spiritual time planned for the day, so that you kind of see definitely a pursuit of mind, body, and spirit throughout the entire thing. And the head lead and co-lead are basically a team that make sure that that is all in line and prepped as far as possible. And then on the actual trip, they're always there supporting and in the background, and then they let the LODs take each day and let them kind of take the driver's seat to lead. And then the woofer is the wilderness first aid responder, which means that during the summer, they took a 10-day course, which when we all come in for the 21-day trip, we get our WUFA, which is just wilderness first aid. And we all do that right before the 21-day trip. And it's kind of like very basic wilderness outdoor first aid. But then woofer is kind of like the backcountry EMT. And so the woofer on the trip, on our weekday or week-long trips, is in charge of the med kit, knowing what goes in and out, and is also the person that everyone will go to if they have any kind of injury, be it from like blisters, thank you. Be it from blisters to like headaches or sickness. The woofer is aware of all of that. And the woofer is also the one who, in case of any extreme emergency, would take the lead in caring for the patient and looking after the situation. I'm not exactly sure what the statistic is now, but I think over half the school has actually been through woofer training. So
that's pretty impressive. Yeah. That certificate goes a long way for, you know, prepping you for a lot of different things in life, just being very aware of, you know, how to treat kind of micro emergencies, even as a parent later or as a teacher in the classroom. But that's great that we offer that for students on the trip. Okay, so one question we haven't really touched on is, why do we have this big outdoor component? And what's the kind of underlying mission of having this huge outdoor leadership? Is it just because we like to go do adventurous things and have fun? Or is there something else to it that is kind of behind the scenes guiding and pushing us through that component? Sophie, how would you answer that question?
Well, I would say first, a big thing that we talk about and that's behind that program is the whole idea of when you're beginning this liberal arts education, this poetic education of the real, you want to start with God's first book. So we talk about that a lot, like nature, wilderness, the world is God's first book. And so when you first start here, the first like accredited thing that you do is go on the 3-week trip, the 21-day trip, and just go immerse yourself in creation first. And and then you come to the classroom, and then you're doing your studies in the classroom, but throughout the year, there are a lot of just weekend trips that go out, and then the week logs for each semester, you're sort of returning to that and receiving that education in creation with the intellectual education. So that's sort of the philosophy behind it. Yeah.
How else does that manifest? I mean, well, we have the horsemanship program. One of y'all mentioned horses at the beginning of this whole thing. Tell me about that. What did you learn about horses in your first 2 years here, and how has it been valuable to you?
So our horsemanship program is 1 semester in sophomore year. And to me, it was kind of incredible. The thing that I learned the most in my horse, her name was Ellie. And I remember like walking into the arena on the first day where we're actually grooming the horses, and they don't get put us on the horses yet. And we learn how to groom the horses, and then they just have a stand in the arena and like watch the horses and watch how the horses interact with each other. And kind of taking Sophie's idea of like looking at creation and kind of like experiencing God through his first book. There was something about that where it was just having to take kind of like a step back from yourself and like having something to do, and just being able to actually watch a creature and like learn about it, not just from like a book that tells you about horses, but just by watching them move and watching how they themselves are observing the world and taking it in. And then when we actually got to writing them, it was definitely just, and Mrs. Papadopoulos, one of our horse instructors, definitely brings this up a lot, is just how important it is to listen to your horse, and how you kind of trying to enforce yourself on the horse is just going to end up confusing it. But then there are moments when you actually like kind of release the tension in your own body and just allow yourself to be receptive to how the horse is thinking, how it wants to move. And you can immediately feel that click with your horse. Like your horse feels how you're being receptive to it, and then begins to be more receptive to you. And I at least feel personally like taking just that experience in horsemanship has also kind of made me realize how to interact with people better, and how to interact with challenges. Is kind of like there's an instinct to, I need to, like, if this is not going well for me, I need to like grasp harder and try to take a firmer control of the situation. But then oftentimes the answer is actually like, I need to open up. I need to be receptive. And like, I need to kind of, in a way, allow myself the freedom to step back from myself and just like take in the situation. And yeah, like be patient with myself, and then be patient with anyone else involved in the situation, because we're really trying to communicate and work through this together.
Sweet. Good. Go ahead, Sophie. What were you going to say?
Or just an add-on to that is, yeah, I think that there's a lot with the outdoor program and with the horsemanship program, and even in seminar where you're not just intaking, you have to be an active participator. There's a lot of areas you grow in self-knowledge. Like when you're going into the backcountry, all the masks are removed. Like that's another big thing behind it, and you have to really learn how to communicate well, and how to lead well, how to follow well and listen. And yeah.
Great. Awesome. You mentioned that about seminar and how to participate. I want to transition the conversation a little bit towards the other aspects of our community life, and particularly in the classroom a little bit. What's your favorite class that you guys are taking right now, and why? So let's start. Joseph, go ahead and tell me what comes to mind when you say, I'm currently enrolled in this class and it's my favorite class this semester. What would you say that is? And this is giving Sophie and Gemma a second to think about that.
Tough question because every class I take I'm in love with, so it's hard to pick. But the one I think if I had to pick has probably this year's theology class that I'm taking. One aspect of the college is, as you're probably familiar with, is the bi-ritual, right? We have the Latin rite and we have the Byzantine rite. And the priest for the Byzantine rite is Father David Anders, who I'm blessed enough to this semester take a theology class with on sin, redemption, and the incarnation is the title of the class. And so we're studying what does it mean for God to become man? How does that, I mean, the massive seeming contradiction in that, but also the really beautiful extravagance of our God that's seen in that. And yeah, Father David has just a very mystical way of really bringing that out. And it's been just delightful to be in that class. So yeah, all the classes are good, but that one in particular has been just special.
I know that's a hard question because I look at the curriculum and think, man, what wouldn't I like about this program? So I was trying to throw you a soft question of what's your favorite class right now? Right? So glad to hear Father David Anderson made it to the top of the list so far. Okay, Gemma, how about you?
Hands down, and this is again not because the other classes aren't fantastic, but because this semester the seniors are doing for humanities, we have the novel is like the focal point. And I grew up reading a lot, so I'm already maybe a little bit biased in this regard. But this class has just been fantastic. We've worked through we just finished The Brothers K this past week, The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. And the focus of kind of our inquiry into the novel is what, at the beginning of the semester, a critic on the art of the novels calls the forgetting of being. And this is the idea that as post-enlightenment kind of like hyper-rationalism takes place in the world and everything becomes subject to like pure mathematical and scientific inquiry, that the novel presents itself as kind of a contrast or maybe even antithesis to this seemingly like this forgetting of being that the world is going through by bringing kind of the complexity of human life in individuals and their circumstances before the reader's eyes and the imagination, and just allowing the ambiguities and the mysteriousness and the intrigue of that complexity to kind of in a way like brand itself upon your mind in a way that stops you from like just simplifying life and putting it into boxes for your own convenience. Yeah, and Dr. Cooper will never not just be a phenomenal person to experience the reading of novels and the humanities track with. So that's probably my answer.
Awesome. And Sophie?
I actually think for this semester, the first thing that came to mind, it's a hard question, is music class. So junior year, we do a music class which involves music theory and then also sort of going through somewhat chronologically history of music, but more just like listening to music. And so I have Dr. Grove for that class, who's awesome. And we just get to sit down and listen to classical music for a lot of the class and then talk about it and then just listen to another piece and talk about it. And I didn't grow up listening to a ton of classical music. I really like music and I actually had a lot of music experience, but not listening to classical music. So just having your homework be like, go listen to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony has been amazing for me. Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that class.
So I got a couple of questions in the queue here. One of them is about our cell phones. If someone asked So we gave up cell phones for 4 years, right? Well, what else? Tell me a little bit more about that. What was your knowledge coming into the college a couple of years ago about our approach to technology, our restrictions on cell phones and Wi-Fi and these other things? And how has it affected your life day to day? Obviously, you guys are on a computer right now, so that must be new, no? Tell me a little bit about your experience. Let's start with Gemma.
Well, at least when I came into the college, I was pretty like on board with the fast from technology. But I was on board more because I didn't have like a full conception of like what that meant. But I was like, if I'm going to be pursuing the goods that the school is putting forward, I can totally live with not having my phone on hand. But then I realized somewhere, probably in freshman year, and it's just been brought home to me throughout, is that it's not really just that like I sacrificed a thing so I could pursue other things more effectively, but actually that I realized that all the goods that I thought were involved in like having my phone, having technology, like my like the internet ready to hand, were a lot less than I thought they were. The kind of the freedom to, instead of think like I want to know a fact, or like I want to, I want to know, to gain some knowledge on something, and having my first thought kind of have to be, let me go into the library and like grab a book off the shelf, or even better, let me like turn to anyone from like a different class and be like, hey, do you know the answer to this question? And honestly, the amount of times where I have thought, like, I want to know some really random like fact, or I want to bring up a memory from like a previous semester to put it in conversation with something I'm reading now, and to be able to turn to any of my classmates or one of the underclassmen even, and ask them instead, and have their eyes like light up and be like, actually, I remember that. And like, they are happier to be asked. And that makes me happier to ask than I think ever just being able to like, just being able to like cut out that interaction and go to my phone. So most of the time I can only see the thing I agreed to in giving up my phone at the beginning of entering this college as kind of like the benefits just keep stacking. And now even when I go home on breaks and I bring my phone with me, I find myself so much more willing and so much more happy to put my phone aside and pursue kind of just like the college, the liberal arts mentality, without it in the wider world, then I am happier to like have it back at my disposal.
Awesome. Okay, but we don't really take away your cell phones, right? Or do we? How's it work, Sophie?
We don't have phones. There's the student life office, which is in like our main building, Baldwin. And there is a little cabinet with a lock that has a bunch of plastic boxes in it that have little stickers on them that have the names of each of the dorms, and all of the phones, you turn them in and keep them in those boxes, and you could go in there if you need to do like banking. That's the main thing I have found, like, because I had, for whatever reason, decided to go to online banking before I came here. So you'll go in and tell the student life person what you need your phone for and do your banking and then put it back in the box. But I mean, I'll do that like once a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then you really don't have your phone. Yeah.
You don't have your phone, but neither do the rest of your classmates, right? So how do you guys how do you talk to each other? How do you meet up for coffee or schedule something kind of on the fly? What's your mode of communication? Or do you just have to be really that good at planning?
It's a little bit of a mix, right? You want to it depends on what you're going for, right? Sometimes it's the nice planned out, like, hey, this weekend, let's go fishing together. You go out and do it. And every now and again, it's just that spontaneous late night conversation. You're up doing reading, someone else is doing their reading, and then all of a sudden it's just like, hey, how was your day? And then it like turns into something great. And then, something like that. Or, well, honestly, one of the big things is just meal times.
Yeah.
That's been a really beneficial thing, I think, about not having a phone has been when I go to a meal, when I go to lunch, when I go to dinner, I, get my plate of food and I sit down at the table. Doesn't matter what table, it doesn't matter who's there. I just sit down, and I can immediately have a conversation with anyone at that table about any subject, from something incredibly philosophical and serious to something that's just fun-loving and playful. And no one's distracted by dinging or buzzing or anything of that sort. It's just so present, I guess is the word that best describes it. Everyone's so present to each other. And that's been one of the real, benefits of actually just like not having a phone, but being able to talk to people, right? Because people are so present, you get to go do polar plunges and run off and do fishing or go ride a horse, or tell someone about a new story that you read or wrote. It's just so much fun.
And I think that again, like communication, like you can't just rely on your phone and like text people, oh, like where are you? Or which and really like it's never been a problem for me. Like you just I guess develop this ability to just like go and like make plans, which maybe sounds silly, but I actually see this again, like when I go home, like people don't have this ability, just like I'm gonna go like knock on their door and ask them, or like see if they're there, or just like somebody drives by Baldwin and is like, we're going out to Sigs, and you just hop in the car. And having that sort of like confidence of communication and freedom, uh, I don't know, it's just really good. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think the lunch announcements are a big way to connect, and
Yeah.
I love what you said about someone driving by and says, "Hop in, we're going to Sings." That has actually happened to me. Funny enough, there was a group of seniors a couple years ago that were saying, "We're going to the horse barn," and I said, "Oh, I'm coming," and then I got to hang out with them for the day. They were my ride back, so I had to hang out with them. Okay, but
Yeah.
let's talk about maybe like more private, personal goods that you need to have, on your with technology. So one of the questions that I often get is from parents is, okay, my son or daughter is going to go there. They're going to give up their phone for 4 years, and how am I going to talk to them every day, or every week or whatever it is? And then more importantly, in some respect, how are they going to be prepared to encounter the world after graduation? What kinds of things are we doing here to help you with career preparation, networking, interviews? What's that whole structure look like? Gemma, you got to come down to Denver with us. Maybe talk a little bit about what that was. I think that was pretty cool. But yeah, go ahead and start with that maybe.
Yeah. So just as like a starting point is every semester after freshman year, we have part of our curriculum is also our ELP days, which are kind of they're kind of like the classroom portion of our outdoor trips. And the college basically takes an entire day. You get your entire class together and you get kind of like progressively more involved in how to prepare for particularly job searching. You go through things like how to compile resumes, how to network, how to write your cover letters. And then, of course, senior year, you actually have mock interviews where you get professionals, sometimes from actually like a wide variety and range outside of Lander and professionals within Lander to come and give the seniors a professional interview process and then give them feedback on it. I myself, as Dr. Preble mentioned, was actually given the opportunity to go to Denver for an overnight trip to basically just partake in networking with professionals who were centered in Denver. And I think I did this with 12 to 15 of my classmates. And for one thing, it was just an incredibly enjoyable time. It's always great to be able to pack up with a small amount of like the students at WCC and have a car ride together as you all go and like pursue something. So there we got to basically we got to go to a wine and cheese and like cocktail event where we basically just mingled with a bunch of these people who are very experienced in their careers and very open and welcoming into kind of letting us into the process and letting us know what opportunities were available to us, and also just giving a lot of encouragement that we do have the necessary skills and the education that the world wants, and not to, in some ways, like underestimate ourselves. And then the next day, they gave us several of those same professionals gave like little talks about how they saw the job market working and how they saw that we could best, most effectively, like kind of represent ourselves as the most worthwhile employees, like the most desirable employees. Yeah. So in some ways, I feel as if WCC has like given me a lot more of a practical understanding about what to expect after college than going to like a normal trades college or some other colleges I've heard of, where that's just like not something that's on their radar, because you go there for classes and then a lot of the other stuff you're kind of like figure that out through experience, like on your own. But the college actually takes time to kind of address that concern about like, will I be prepared for the world after going on a tech fast, after going like pursuing a liberal arts education in the middle of Wyoming while going on outdoor trips. And I feel as if they're so aware that is a concern, that they just pursue facing that concern in a really, really great way.
That's great.
There's another aspect, if I can add here, where there's also colleges that their only focus is on their career center. And so all the students are constantly in the career center, just kind of trying to figure out their future. And with that, are never actually in the moment. I think WCC has a really nice balance, definitely leaning much more towards in the present moment. But with that, as three of us have mentioned before, you really learn how to communicate and actually how to talk to people. And on our past ELP class, Sophie and I were just in, Dr. Zimmer, who is the head of the outdoor program, was telling us that in the real world, when you're out of this little bubble here, what people care about, what people want is people who can communicate. That's what people are hiring for. It's like, do you have the competency? That's great, but like, can I work with you? Can I really work with you? And so, right, to the college kids who are always kind of stuck in like, what am I going to do when I graduate? And always planning for the future and never actually living in the present moment. They're missing out on something that's very real and tangible. Education in the real world is what Sophie had mentioned before. And I think that's something we really get here at WCC.
Awesome. Well, we're coming up to our end of our time here, and I want to make sure I capture a few more questions that we have. So there's a couple of questions in the chat that I'll get to in a quick second. But while I'm preparing that, I wanted to offer something to our guests. So if you have a question, drop it in the chat. I'll read it through it here and ask it to our guests here. But one thing that came up, I think that we really enjoyed talking about, was peak. And so I was just looking at registrations online for our peak sessions, and we actually still have about 20 spots left for one of our sessions. So if you're interested in signing up for peak, head over to our website, click on the visit page and sign up. We have two sessions. The first one is June 6th through the 19th, and the second one is June 20th through July 3rd. And if you are listening in and watching and you type in the promo code Inside Scoop, you'll get $100 off your registration. So that's pretty cool. Thanks for joining us. That's coming out of Joseph and Gemma, no, I'm teasing. So
What?
thank you for helping us out with this, guys, tonight. So while you guys are signing up for Peak, I'm sure you are. One question that we had was, you mentioned, I think it was you, Sophie, who said you went to a school that had a similar curriculum to WCC. One of our listeners wants to know what does that mean? What kinds of books were you reading? Were the same curriculum here? In what way is our curriculum similar to your high school? So maybe tell us, if you don't mind, what school you went to and the curriculum what's the connection?
So I went to a school called Oakcrest. It's in Vienna, Virginia. It's like a private Catholic. It's actually run by Opus Dei, which is I actually don't know exactly what it is, but it's like a side, a ministry in the church, I guess, or group. And the curriculum, it was a pretty classical curriculum. It wasn't specifically liberal arts. We didn't do exclusively seminar. We just had discussions sometimes, and then decent amount of lecture. But there was a very strong humanities program, so you did a lot of writing. I read the Iliad and the Odyssey before I came here, and you read that again freshman year, and it's still worth it. Even if you read them before, trust me, your freshman self did not get an eighth of what you get. Anyway, yeah. And then, yeah, some brief introduction to like the Greeks, and poetry. I'd memorized like a poem or two that we memorized here, because we memorized a lot of poems here. The whole student body has like a common repertoire. I had done some math that helped me here. Like we did calculus. We just did calculus junior year last semester, so that was helpful. Really, just the humanities track and the writing, and the theology was also a helpful basis. I had read a Shakespeare play or two. We read a lot of Shakespeare here. Yeah, and just it was an initial introduction to a few of the great works, and writing, and a few discussions, and sort of an initial introduction to poetry that really prepared me for here.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
would you say that you feel kind of it's drab, you're kind of just doing it all over again? Or is there something else to this? Like what do you say to the high school student who says, I already did this curriculum?
Yeah, that would get me. I think it's hard, like you have to come, but there's a professor that we have here, Dr. Holmes, and he says like honestly just pick like the 8 best books in your life and just reread them over and over again, and that would be worth it. Like you'd get something out of it every time. I think there's a lot of truth in that. I would just say, I mean, just my experience was I'd read the Iliad, I'd read the Odyssey, and I'd got a lot out of them in high school. I had great teachers, but rereading them again, and then there's something about, I think, also unpacking them in seminar that really makes them your own, and really internalizes what you learn, because you have to sort of go through the process of like starting to realize a point and verbalize a point and then discussing it, and it becomes something more concrete and really sticks with you. And yeah, and our professors, I mean, and the people that you'll be seminaring with, like they will help you to get so much more out of those books. I think it's totally worth it. Yeah.
So you mentioned, I think it was you, Joseph, who talked about our chaplaincy a little bit and how we have both the Roman Rite and a Byzantine Rite. I want to know if you can kind of walk us through what does that look like in the day-to-day life. So for those of you listening, we are Wyoming Catholic College. We have a small college here in Lander, but we also have the Holy Rosary Parish, which is just right next to our campus, where we have a parish priest. And then we have our own chaplain who serves our community, who is a Roman Rite chaplain, Father Godfrey. And then we have a Byzantine Rite chaplain who serves for the college as our chaplain, but also as a faculty member, who serves the Byzantine Rite. And so we have these two, as I think JP2 has said, and our former president, Dr. Gwen Arbery, has mentioned, the ability to breathe with both lungs of the church. What does that look like in the day-to-day life of the college? So we've got the academic calendar, we've got the Roman calendar, and then we got the Byzantine calendar. So Joseph, tell me about your experience with that.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a place to begin, but I'll begin here. The sacraments are very accessible here in both rites. We have daily mass every single day, and confession 4 times a week, including the Byzantine confession on Saturday. When it comes to liturgies on Sundays, there's like 4 masses you can go to, including the Byzantine liturgy. I mean, really, there's a plethora of things to do. You never run out of liturgical activities. And so, yeah, and then students do a whole bunch of stuff too. I know, Sophie, you said you started leading a Sunday vigil for Lent, Sunday Vespers on.
Oh, yeah, Blaze.
Yeah, you and Blaze
Vespers, like sun Vespers.
Right. Almost every single night, I think it's supposed to be every single night, we have comp line in the oratory at like 8:30.
And lauds every morning.
Lauds every morning too?
Yeah, at 7:30.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course. That was, again, started by students, I think, last year. So, I mean, it's very active life here, very active liturgical life here at the college. It's been really a blessing. One of the other things that was just super wonderful for me when I came here as a freshman was every night the dorms pray together. You as your dorm. So I'm in the dormitory of St. John of the Cross, and every night that we have 10:30 curfew, every night we come together and we pray night prayer together as a dorm before going to bed. And that was, I mean, so formative for me, just kind of have that constant rhythm of like, the day's crazy, right? You're super busy, and like, I mean, I made a daily mass, but like, where did I really take the time to like sit with Jesus and just love God? And it's like, oh yeah, here, I can do it here. It's just a beautiful experience.
Fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to end the call here at this point. I'll have one last sign off from each of you. If you were talking to, and as you are, a high school student, give me one reason why you think they should make a visit to campus. What would it be, Sophie?
Oh, so sorry. I think just to, you could read all the bullet points of the I think amazing things we do, but just to enter into the community and seeing the town of Lander itself, that's formative for the character of our community. Being in the community where all the students just don't have cell phones, staying in the dorm and just like getting to hang out, do dorm events, and night prayer and all of that. I think having those conversations and just actually hanging out with those people who are just doing this thing where we're doing it is totally worth it. Just to get a feel for the community because it's very alive and
Gemma?
Yeah, I definitely say I think the best argument for Wyoming Catholic College is meeting a Wyoming Catholic College student. A lot of other things we could put down on we do put down on paper, and we try to explain the uniqueness and the education. But I think to see it actually at work within the student and to see how it kind of like changes them and how it allows them to live their life on day to day is just something that we can't fully explain to you. But if you come and live with us and like talk to us, then I think you'll begin to see more about why WCC is amazing. Yeah, so the best way to do that is to come.
Great. And Joseph.
If I was talking to a high school student, I'd probably look at him and I'd say, well, you'll have a lot of fun and you don't have a good reason not to.
Awesome. Okay, well, we'll leave it there. I'm going to stay on and happily answer any other questions that any of our guests might have, but you three are free to go. I want to just say thank you so much for taking time out of your day this evening to spend on Zoom with us and chat with some of our prospective students. I hope you guys have a great evening, and thanks again for joining us. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys.